Hi, it's Lucy, and today's video is a vlog of me reading the entire Chronicles of Narnia in hopefully 48 hours. Also, this is Tucker. He's next to me today because he loves me. Reading series in like a limited amount of time is not a new thing. People have done it before. As far as I've seen, nobody has done it for the Chronicles of Narnia except for one person. I looked up the video months ago. I've actually been planning to do this literally since like June. This is kind of a branch off of my INFP vlog because the Chronicles of Narnia came up as a book series INFPs should read, and I was like, I've been meaning to read that for a while, so I decided to hold off on it during that vlog, and I was like, I'll just read the whole series at once and get in on that trend. So actually, yeah, I think I had this idea in May, and then June happened, and July happened, and then August happened, but here we are, it's the end of August. I'm doing something. Right now it's Friday at around 3:30, and I'm planning to start at 5 today and then hopefully finish by 5 on Friday. This is a children's book series, so I am hopefully going to be able to get through them quickly enough. I did look up the audiobooks, and I also am planning to intersperse the audiobooks and the ebooks. I got literally every version that I could from the library of all these books to give myself the best chance. But the audiobook versions are around 4-ish hours each. Some of them are more, some of them are less. So even if I just listen to the audiobook straight through, that would be 4 times 7, which is 28 hours, which is under 48 hours. I'm pretty confident I can do this. I haven't been in the greatest reading mood lately, so hopefully this will spring me back into a reading mood, or it will put me even further into a reading slump. I don't really like reading slumps, like that phrase, but that's another thing for another day. But yeah, let's talk about this book series. So The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis is a book series. I should have done more research on the actual plot of the series, but I did more research on the surroundings of the series because there's like one big point of contention amongst Narnia scholars. That's literally what one of the websites I was looking at said. And basically the order that you should read the series in is like a big thing people disagree on. There is the order of publication, which is how most book series are read, but then there is the chronological order because some of the events in the series occur earlier than when the book was published, if that makes sense. For example, The Magician's Nephew occurs before any of the other books in the series, but this was written second to last. I am going to be reading them in publication order because I'm not sure how much it matters because I actually have read 3 of these books before when I was a kid. I read The Magician's Nephew, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I always want to say Treater because that's what I said when I was a kid, but I'm pretty sure that is wrong. I also should have looked that up. But yes, I read those 3 books, which I also read them kind of out of order anyway. I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe first because it was assigned reading when I was in school. I was in like 3rd or 4th grade. And then someone said, actually, The Magician's Nephew is first. So then I read that one, and then I liked the series, so I planned to continue on. But my school's library didn't have all the books, so I think I just picked up The Voyage of the Dawn Treader because it was there. So yeah, and then I stopped because I did want to read them in a order, and then I just never got to them, so now I'm getting to them. I guess I should give you a vague synopsis for The Chronicles of Narnia if you don't already know. It is a portal fantasy, I guess, kind of book. For the majority of the books, we follow 4 siblings. I'm pretty sure for the majority of the books. I could be wrong about that. Like I did say, I've only read 3 of them, and 2 out of the 3 of them followed these siblings, so I don't know. For the majority of them, we follow these siblings who end up finding Narnia. We actually learn about them in the first book that I will be reading, and in publication order, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So I'll also just tell you the synopsis of this. But basically, these siblings get sent away to the countryside because during World War II, they're in England, and their family doesn't want them to be caught up in the crossfire, so they're sent away to live, I don't know who the man is, but with this family friend, something like that. And one day, while one of them is bored, they accidentally stumble into a wardrobe and discover the land of Narnia. And each book in the series follows like a new adventure in Narnia. And yeah, it seems like fun. I remember enjoying this book and The Magician's Nephew when I was younger. I really don't remember reading The Voyage of the Dawn Treader because I don't know why. I just don't really remember. I just know that I read it. But yeah, I'm excited to be reading these. I really wanted to get Turkish Delights for this video, but they are not easy to find. I did check like multiple dessert places in my area and nobody sells them, and they're not easy to make either, so we're going without that. But yeah, I'm just planning to read this. This video will be mostly spoiler free. I think there will be light spoilers like of connections between book to book. But yeah, first I'll be reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I'm planning to start at 5 p.m. today. Okay, sound quality is a little different, but location is exactly the same. It's 8:30 p.m. right now. In the audiobook, I'm a little under halfway, but it looks like in the physical book, I'm a little over halfway. In The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I actually need to read probably another book tonight, so I'm planning to finish this in the next, hopefully half hour. I'm not sure how long it'll take. Technically, I did start at 5:30-ish reading this. I started listening to the audiobook, but I took a couple breaks in the audiobook. I ended up going to get dinner, and I watched some YouTube videos while I ate. It's so fun so far. It is like truly like a fairy tale. It feels like a children's book, which it is a children's book, but it feels like so comforting and like warm, which is so fun to read. I forgot to say the names of the main characters. It'll probably come up again in the future books, but Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. And the beginning, there's like the dedication, and apparently C.S. Lewis dedicated it to his goddaughter, also named Lucy, which I thought was so cute. Just the way he did the dedication was really cute, and like that he made Lucy the main character, and I just thought it was really cute that he like wrote the story for a child he loved. The religious overtones are very apparent. When I read this when I was younger, I obviously didn't see it, but I also went to Catholic school, so that does explain a lot why we read this in class. I don't think we talked too much about the religiousness of this, but yeah, it's very apparent. Not in a bad way, in my opinion. I don't think it's incredibly heavy-handed. It's just because I went in knowing about it that I noticed it. And also, for the characters, Edmund is a little snot. I know there's like a whole thing in here about how he's being like controlled kind of by the White Witch, but even before that, he was a little snot. Yeah, and he's just is ugly inside. So I'm going to hopefully finish this in the next little while. Okay, so I finished The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. There's a lion in my lap. Roar like a lion. It was so good. It was so cute and good. 4 stars probably. I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I reread it, I should say. I was also thinking I should have mentioned 2 things earlier. 1, Lucy is my name. Can't believe it took me this long to mention that, but yeah. Yeah, I was in this book, obviously, even though her name was spelled wrong. Lucy with a Y is wrong. It's the wrong name. I'm just kidding. It's fine, except it's not fine because Lucy with an IE is superior. But anyway, back to the book. Yeah, I'm excited to continue to read the series. It reads very much like a fairy tale. It reads very much like a children's book. It has like the whole narrator like putting in a little commentary for the reader, which I always really enjoy. I think it's really fun. Once again, very Christian undertones that I didn't really mind, and I think that's all I have to say. I'm going to start reading the second book, which I believe is Prince Caspian. So we'll see what happens with Prince Caspian. I think that's all I have to say. I'm going to start that pretty soon as this cat gets off of me. We're in my bedroom now. The lighting is kind of not great. I finished Prince Caspian. It was good. I really liked it. I'm probably going to give this 4 stars too. There were some things I forgot to mention yesterday about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which were the movies. I'm not going to watch the movies. I thought about trying to watch them within this video, but 1, it's going to take up more time. I have seen The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and also when I was reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I forgot to mention that like a lot of the things, especially around the White Witch, I was picturing from the movie. So that was really interesting. And there are also like little illustrations in these books, like the editions I have. Like, I mean, this is Prince Caspian, but it has like illustrations. So the illustrations of the White Witch in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe did not match what the movie The White Witch was. So I just wanted to mention that. I also wanted to mention kind of the sexism that is in here. It bothers me in the sense that sexism always bothers me, but it could definitely be like worse. It is like more benevolent sexism, like in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Aslan, he gives Susan her bow and arrow, which Susan has, and he's like, it's not for battle because when girls go into battle, like nothing good can come from that, which is kind of sexist, but also he's not like girls can't fight. He's just like girls shouldn't fight because, you know, delicate flowers or whatever. So it's like more like that and not like women are beneath us. But if that will bother you, that's in there. And it's in this one too because there's like a whole battle scene that Lucy and Susan aren't part of because they're girls, basically like they're in another thing and they do something else to like help the cause, what they're fighting for, but it's Tucker. What is that? My cat broke something. I don't know what it is. That's good. I did want to catch you up on that, but overall, as a story, I really enjoyed it. Not too many spoilers, but at the end of Prince Caspian, it's mentioned that I guess Susan and Peter aren't meant to come back. I don't know what happens in the future. I do remember the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. It's only Lucy and Edmund. Maybe they'll come back in another book. I don't know. But that made me sad because I really like them all as characters. It's really nice to see them as a family. Edmund really grew. This book takes place a year after The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, like in the real time, because time passes different in Narnia. And you can see how much like Edmund like changed from that experience, and he's not a little shit anymore, which is nice. Like I mentioned with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, there is like a religiousness that's in here. There's a very big like portion that's about like faith, like clearly, and believing in something that you can't see. That I think is a little more apparent like if you're a kid, but once again, I don't know, I'm not religious, so I feel like I can't really comment on like if you're trying to raise your kid as an atheist, if this will be bad. I don't know, but as like a story, I think it's like good, like a fun story for kids. It has like fighting. That's kind of how I felt about Prince Caspian. I'm looking forward to reading the next book, which I think is The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. So I have just finished The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which is the 3rd book in publication order, 5th book in chronological order, allegedly. I think I'm gonna give it like, I don't know, 3.5 stars instead of 4 stars like the other two. The thing with this one is there was a point where I got a little bored in the middle because this is more of like a journey book. In this one, we only follow Lucy and Edmund, and they end up going back to Narnia with their cousin by accident, and they see Prince Caspian again, and they're basically going on this voyage of the Dawn Treader where Caspian is trying to find some people. It has a lot of little side plots because there is no like one destination for this, but I feel like having a destination drives the plot more forward, and this one felt a little more meandering, which is fun for like the first 2 or 3, but there were a lot. Like it was like every chapter, and I think the other 2 books did have like some little side quests, but they did feel like they were driving towards a bigger thing, or it could just be because I knew the general plot of them anyway. I didn't mind it as much. I don't know, but there were a lot of little like side quests and stuff, and I just got kind of bored with them. Like they were fun to read, some of them just weren't that exciting to me, and I was like, can we keep going? I also did feel the loss of Peter and Susan. I know that they weren't really in the first 2 books either. Like they were in the first 2 books, but Lucy and Edmund definitely played a bigger part in those books anyway, and Susan and Peter are a little older. I want to say they were like teenagers, I'm not sure, so the books definitely focus on the young kid more. And after this book, I don't know if we're gonna see Lucy and Edmund again, which makes me sad because I do really like them as characters. I really like just seeing the whole family, and like I just spent 3 books with these characters, so I'm kind of sad to like leave them. The book does mention that we won't see them again. That could be a lie. The book mentioning that and this being the 5th book in the chronological order makes more sense, because it feels weird in a 7-book series to then be like, you're never gonna see these main characters again 3 books in, which is technically what Lewis Carroll did, because like this was the 3rd book published, but as a reading experience it feels weird. I'm sure if nobody ever questioned it and just was like, oh, read them in publication order as you do any other series, then I wouldn't be questioning it right now, but I am a little questioning that decision. But now it kind of doesn't matter because the next book is A Silver Chair, which is the next book I would be reading after this either way, so I feel like this will go well. I also did feel like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and Prince Caspian and The Voyage of the Dawn Treader did all go well together because they all mention the previous books as well. This is also a really good book for like book lovers. The narrator in this one especially, I think, mentions like just the whimsy that comes with being a young reader, and I really like that. There are still religious undertones. I feel like they're overtones. Aslan is very clearly Jesus. But once again, if I was a kid reading this, I'm not sure I would see that. I would just see like a cool, like godlike character, which lots of books have, so it's there. But there are also like lots of good lessons regardless of religion. Eustace the kid's cousin in this, is a little snot in this book, but he also grows like Edmund does in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And it's really nice to see. There's lots of lessons about like forgiveness and everything. I just enjoy reading these. Like, I'm having such a good time reading these. I was really sad at the end, like I said, when the book was like, you're not going to see these people again. I was like, are you sure? So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm feeling it. I'm a little sad I didn't read these when I was a kid. Now I'm going to be reading this over chair. I'm going to try and just jump into it. I looked at the synopsis for this, and this book actually follows Eustace and someone else. I never heard of this, which is good. I'm glad there's at least one familiar character.
And each cave was lower than the last, till the very thought of the weight and depth of earth above you was suffocating. At last they came to a place where the warden commanded his cheerless lantern to be lit again.
Okay, I finished The Silver Chair. I'm very tired. I did not drink my coffee this morning, and I think that has something to do with it. I had a cup of tea like while I was finishing this up to like try and bring myself back. It's only 9 o'clock right now, but I am exhausted. But yeah, I'm definitely feeling this like time crunch. Like I said, I just finished The Silver Chair. This is the 4th Narnia book I finished so far this weekend. I'm still trying for 48 hours. I am now 29 hours in. I don't know if I'm gonna try and stay up tonight to try and read another book or what's gonna happen. We'll see. Exciting. But the review of this, it was good. This might also get 3.5 stars. It turns out that I really like the Pevensies, and this book doesn't have them. I thought it was weird that basically the way the other book ended makes it sound like there's not gonna be another book after this. The end of this book gave endings for like 3 of the characters in here, but then we go and see their endings in this book. So I felt like that was odd to me. Like he didn't know he was gonna write it, and maybe he didn't know he was gonna write it. There's a reference to The Horse and His Boy, which I think is the next book that I'm going to be reading. And once again, he wrote that after he wrote this, and he like mentions like the characters in it, which once again will not be the Pevensies. Maybe I really like them because I've read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe already. I've seen that movie, so I already felt like I knew them, so it's easier for me to get attached to them. And this one, Eustace, was in the last book, so I did feel a little more attached to him. Joe was the other main character, and they had a travel companion. He was supposed to be like funny, comic relief. He's kind of like Eeyore, where like everything is always the worst possible outcome. So that was like funny, and it was fun. There was like more of a journey here, like I said, because we knew the end point. They were planning to rescue the prince, so we know that's what they're doing. I guess my issue is like these main characters are more bumbling than the Pevensies were, because they mess up a lot of things and we see them mess up, but it all works out because, you know, it's a fairy tale, it's a kid's book. So I don't know if I'll give it 3.5 stars, but it does like still make me feel warm inside. The ending of this, I really liked it. It did bring some tears to my eyes. It just makes you feel good. So I do like that. I am looking forward to continuing, but I am exhausted now. I read 4 books today, which is way more than I've read in so long. Good morning. It is 11 a.m. I finished The Horse and His Boy. Right now we are T-minus 6 hours, I think, until my 48 hours is up, and honestly I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'm definitely very tired. I do not normally read this much in one weekend. So far I've read 5 books, and yes, there are children's books, but this is literally all I've been doing, just going back and forth between listening to the audiobooks of this and reading physical books. But yes, let's review The Horse and His Boy. I think this is my least favorite of the books that I've read so far. It's probably going to be my least favorite in the series. I'm going to do a ranking at the end. This one, it feels like it had the least connection to the other ones. This book technically takes place during The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So this is like towards the end of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I guess. But it follows completely different characters. We follow Bree and Shasta. Bree is a talking horse. That's him. Can you see it? And the title is definitely like on purpose, because there's like a whole thing about talking horses and how talking beasts are just like man in Narnia, so they're equal. But yeah, so we never heard of these people before except for like the one mention of this story in the last book. I don't really think we hear about them again. It was like a stereotypical, I guess, adventure book. This starts off in a place that's not Narnia. Oh, I guess I never explained. Narnia is a country in the other world. So like when all the characters are going to Narnia, they're just going to that one specific country, and there's other countries in that world that they can also like see and visit and stuff. We see some of that in here. But yeah, so this takes place in a different country in the same world as Narnia, and they are trying to get to Narnia in this book. But the other country is, I feel like it could probably be seen as like racist. We know it was written in the 50s in England and during a different time. I did look it up to make sure I wasn't making it up, but I didn't think I was making it up. Basically, it's very clear that the country that the majority of this takes place in is based on the Middle East, and I don't think it's given the most positive light. It was accepted at the time, or for white people in England, basically to like make fun of other countries, and there are instances where the people from those countries are called like savages. This had a nice ending. I feel like it fit the least from the rest of the books. Maybe reading it in this order made me feel like that. I guess if you read it in the order that HarperCollins tells you to, can you see it? You would have already read a book that's not following the Pevensies or anyone that they knew by the time you get to this, so you wouldn't expect it as much. But so far, the first three are following the Pevensies, and then the last one follows a character we knew from the Pevensies and who is related to them. This one, they have nothing to do with it. We do see the Pevensies in this because, like I said, this takes place during The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but they're not main characters. They're very separate. It's just like a nod. It was fine. I did miss the other characters. That's basically what it comes down to. And also just the story overall, it was just kind of like, why? It felt kind of like a short story just set in the world. Like it didn't really have to do it with anything in the main stories. Next, I'm going to be reading The Magician's Nephew, which I know also doesn't follow the Pevensies. I've actually already read that, which I mentioned in the beginning of this video. So we'll see how it goes. I don't remember too much. I think I know how it ends, but I don't remember everything. I finished The Magician's Nephew. Now I am halfway through. No, I'm a little under halfway through. I think I'm like 35% through the last battle, but I just wanted to get a move on this. So I started listening to the audiobook pretty much right as soon as I finished this, but I do want to review this. It is currently almost 3 o'clock, but at the speed I'm listening to the last battle, it should only be an hour and a half left. Yeah, so the review of The Magician's Nephew, this was good. Like I keep saying, I've read this already, but it was years ago. I was in like 4th grade or 5th grade or something. And so I really did not remember a lot of things. And one thing that stuck out to me is that, so you know, one of my most hated books, The Magicians by Lev Grossman. If you want to hear more about that, you can hear about it in my worst books of 2019 video. But yeah, I really did not like that book. I probably should go back and rate it lower now that I'm thinking about it. Part of that book was like homage, I guess, or just inspiration. It's more than inspiration now that I have reread this, but like inspiration from the Chronicles of Narnia, and I knew that while I was reading it. But if I had reread this before I read The Magicians, I would have been probably mad. Oh, I didn't even tell you what this was about. So I think I mentioned that this is a prequel. This takes place before the events of every other book in the series, and it's kind of the story of how Narnia came to be. There is once again religious overtones, undertones. Is it, can you say overtone? Am I supposed to say undertone? Because I really feel like it's pretty overt. So this is like the story of how Narnia came to be. And one of the things is that the main characters, who are called Diggory and Polly, end up going to this place between worlds to end up getting to Narnia. And that is something that is blatantly ripped from this book and was used in The Magician. Like a lot of it was used. Like I did not remember that part of this book when I was reading The Magicians, or else I would have been even more mad. There's no hint of uniqueness from what I remember of The Magicians. Like it's just blatantly the same thing. Like he didn't change that part of it at all. It was a lot. But overall, enough about my most hated book. I did not hate this. I also did like that we get some backstory for some things. We don't really find out anything about Aslan, but we find out how Narnia was created, like certain things that we see in like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And that part was fun. The two main characters in this one were fun to read about. It was fun to see their relationship with each other. It was fun to see like their dynamic with each other, because they kind of meet at the beginning of the book and become like fast friends. And there's also like a little bit of a harder subject in here because one of the characters' parents is dying. So that's something to be aware of. I did enjoy this more than The Horse and His Boy. And also my camera battery is flashing, so just know that I'm going to finish the last battle and that will be the next time you see me. Hello, it has been multiple weeks since I filmed the rest of this video. I did in fact finish the entire Chronicles of Narnia in 48 hours. but I have no proof because for the third time I've discovered that one of my clips recorded without any audio, and unfortunately this time it was the last clip for this vlog. So I am attempting to re-record it. I did finish the last battle at like 4:30. If I still have the video of it, I'll insert it and see, because I want the credit, okay? I read this whole series in 48 hours. I did it, okay? So I wanted to do a mini review of the last battle, and then I'm gonna rank the series. I think it's also a good thing that I'm filming this weeks after, because now I have a more clear head. I think while I was in the midst of reading it, along with the sleep deprivation, not sleep deprivation, but just my mind was so inside the Chronicles of Narnia because it's all I was doing that whole weekend. I think I might have been a little too nice. So this originally got 3 stars. I think I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars. The first half of this, you're kind of like, what is happening? When are the people gonna come in? We actually start off in Narnia, which is very different from the other books. Almost all the other books start somewhere else. So that was interesting and weird, but the first half you're kind of like, where is this going? And then the second half you do see some familiar characters, but you're also still like, where is it going? How is this gonna end? And then the ending was what? I was so shook by the ending of this, and at first I was like, oh, I was shook, so that's good. But then thinking about it, it felt really lazy. And then I guess this is where the religious overtones really culminated, because it is just Revelations. That's what this book is based on. If we once again see the Kellerman, they are still racist. Susan was mistreated. I want Susan reparations. Basically, Susan doesn't come back into this book because she like gets too invested in like girly things, and she like doesn't believe in Narnia anymore, which okay. But then something happens and I'm like, Susan deserves reparations. Why does C.S. Lewis hate Susan so much all of a sudden? So that happened. I will tell you what happened. It's obviously a spoiler, and it is the end of the series. So if you don't want that spoiler, I will put a timestamp on the screen and somewhere down below to just skip ahead to my ranking. But basically, everybody dies, except for Susan. They all end up in this train station. Everyone in the Pevensey family goes to this train station because basically what happens is something's going on in Narnia, and someone from Narnia is able to get a message out of Narnia to everyone who's been to Narnia already. So that's the Pevenseys, their cousin, his friend, whose name I forgot. I think her name was Sally, and the professor, and I think her name was Dolly. I don't remember. So everyone who's ever been to Narnia are trying to figure out a way to get to Narnia, and then they decide to meet up at a train station. And so everyone except for Susan goes, and someone casually remarks, oh, I think our parents are also on this train because they said they were going to this. And they all end up in Narnia. They go and do like their rescue operation things that are supposed to be done, and then Aslan basically rebuilds Narnia. They see their parents across the way and they're like, oh, what are our parents doing in Narnia? And Aslan is happily telling them basically that train crash that you thought happened, but then you're like, oh, I'm in Narnia, so it couldn't have happened. It did happen. You're all dead. You're in heaven now, which is Narnia. Everybody's dead, which is supposed to be like a happy thing. But now Susan, who's not there, is alone forever. Her whole family died in a train crash. What? Why are we ignoring that part? That was my first thought when he said that. I was like, what? So yes, I was shook at the end, but I don't think that was a good ending. I guess kids might miss it, but I'm like, what? That's my review of the last battle, 2.5 stars, because the ending was what? And the first half of it, it really lost the charm and like happy feelings that I was feeling about Narnia from the beginning of the series, so that was sad. Now we're on to the ranking. So I'm going from bottom to top, worst to best, and you could probably guess it based on all the reviews I've been giving throughout this video, but let's just keep going. So the worst book in the Chronicles of Narnia, according to me, Lucy, the only person who matters, is The Horse and His Boy. Not only was this racist, I think I did go a little easier on it when I did the review within the video, but looking back and thinking about it, it was definitely racist, and I didn't like the general story overall anyway because it felt so far away from the rest of the series. So I'm giving this 2 stars. And I also felt like the reason this book existed, sort of, now having finished, I think the only reason the Kellerman existed was so that C.S. Lewis could continue to be racist in the last battle because the Calormen are also antagonists in that book. So we just talked about the last battle. It is next in the list. I'm giving this 2.5 stars because of everything that I just said. The silver chair, there was nothing wrong with it. It just ends up on this list because it is the furthest removed from the characters that I liked, and I wasn't a huge fan of the characters on their own in this, but as a story it was fun to read, and it did make me feel like the fairy tale feelings. I'm going to give this 3.5 stars. The Magician's Nephew, I'm also giving this 3.5 stars. It just didn't have the Pevensies in it. Voyage of the Dawn Treader, 3.5 stars. Like I mentioned in the review, I just got bored sometimes. Prince Caspian, I'm giving this 4 stars. I enjoyed reading this. It was fun to read. I enjoyed reading it. By now you can guess. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is number 1. I'm giving this 4 stars. I enjoyed reading it. It made me so happy to read this and start reading this series. And it just had all the things you want from a good children's book. And yeah. So overall as a series, I think I would give it 3.5 stars. My recommendation, if you want to read the series, would be, and you're not a completionist, I would say just read the first 3 books and The Magician's Nephew, and you're good. You don't need the other books in the series. I think these 4, can you see them? I think these 4 really exemplify like why people like Narnia. I don't understand why anyone likes the other 3 that much. Like I said, the Silver Chair isn't horrible. It's just, I just didn't enjoy it as much. So that would be my recommendation. The Horse and His Boy, you can absolutely skip that even if you are a completionist. The only thing relevant to the other series would be the Calormen, which once again were racist. So, but the overall story, I did not need it. I did not want it. And yeah, so yeah, that would be my recommendation. I did still enjoy the series. I did have fun filming this. I had fun reading the series. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any opinions about the Chronicles of Narnia, let me know in the comments down below. Also in the comments down below, leave me a lion emoji. If you've made it this far into the video, I know it was a long one, so thank you. I will see you in my next video. Bye.